All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a really big topic, the long, complex, and honestly, often misunderstood relationship between the Islamic and European worlds. It's this incredible story that unfolds on the shores of just one sea, a story of conflict, sure, but also of trade and this really deep connection.
So let's start here. For centuries, you gotta understand, the Mediterranean wasn't a border at all. It was basically a Roman highway. They even called it Mare Internum, which just means our sea. I mean, think about it. It was the lifeblood of this huge empire, connecting all these different cultures from Spain all the way to Syria, all under one Roman flag. But then, in the 7th century, the whole map gets redrawn, and it happens with just breathtaking speed. This sea that used to bring everyone together, it's about to become one of the most important frontiers in the world. Okay, so take a look at this timeline. The thing that's just mind-blowing is the speed of it all. Syria falls in 636. A few years later, Egypt is incorporated, and then whoosh, they expand right across North Africa and into Spain by the early 700s. We're talking less than 100 years. That whole southern and eastern coastline of that old Roman lake, it now belongs to this brand new, incredibly dynamic civilization. And boom, just like that, the world of a single unified Roman sea was gone forever. It wasn't the unifier anymore. It had become a boundary, a huge dividing line between two of the world's great civilizations. You've got Christian Europe up in the north, and the Islamic world now holding the south and the east. Now, when you think about this time period, it's really easy to just picture constant, nonstop war, right? You know, the Crusades and all that. And yeah, that was definitely a huge part of the story. But that's only half the picture. Not even. So was it really just conflict all the time? Well, let's get into that, because what you find is that this new frontier, it was never some kind of impenetrable wall. Actually, people and things were crossing this so-called divide all the time. It was this constant, vibrant, and, get this, incredibly profitable exchange of both goods and ideas. You see, trade was just this powerful, unstoppable force. You had these Italian city-states, especially places like Venice, Genoa, and Florence, and they got seriously rich playing the middleman. Here's the game. They'd trade things like timber and slaves to North Africa, get paid in gold and silver, and then they'd use that cash to buy all the good stuff from the East in places like Constantinople. We're talking spices, fancy textiles, jewels. Then they'd sail it all back to Europe and sell it for a fortune. A brilliant business model, really. And check out this quote from the 12th century traveler Ibn Jubayr. This is amazing. He wrote that even while armies from both sides were literally at war, merchants could just pass right through enemy lands, totally untouched. I mean, think about that. It really shows you that money talks, right? The desire to do business was a language everybody, no matter their religions, seemed to understand perfectly. And, you know, the exchange was about so much more than just stuff. This painting is a perfect example. It was made by a famous Venetian artist, Gentile Bellini. And where did he paint it? In the court of the Ottoman Sultan. He was an invited guest. So this wasn't just about trading goods. It was a real transfer of culture, of art, and crucially, a transfer of knowledge that was about to completely change the game for Europe. A perfect case in point is the city of Toledo in Spain. After it was captured by Christian forces back in 1085, it became this incredible hub for translation. Scholars from all over Europe came there to translate Arabic works on medicine, science, philosophy, you name it, into Latin. But here's the really big deal. Among those Arabic books were the lost works of the ancient Greeks, guys like Aristotle. That knowledge had pretty much vanished from Europe, but it was preserved and built upon in the Islamic world. Reintroducing it to Europe, well, that helped light the spark for the entire Renaissance. All right, so for hundreds of years, you had this kind of delicate balance of power across the sea. But as we get to the end of the 15th century, you can feel things starting to shift. The scales are about to tip in a big way. And then we hit the year 1492. This is a massive turning point. First, as you can see on this map, Granada falls. That's the last Muslim stronghold on the Iberian Peninsula, marking the end of the Reconquista. And in the very same year, what else happens? Yep. Columbus set sail. And notice which way he's going. Not east, into the Mediterranean, but west, out into the great unknown of the Atlantic. And that was a game changer. European powers started looking westward. They wanted new ways to get to Asia, new trade routes that would let them bypass the old Mediterranean networks controlled by Islamic powers and yet those Venetian merchants. It was all about finding a new path, a new advantage. So what we're seeing here is a total flip, a complete reversal of the dynamic. For centuries, Europe had been on the receiving end of so much knowledge and so many goods from the Islamic world, but now it's Europe that's becoming more powerful, that's expanding outward. This kicks off a whole new era, one that some historians call the shock of the West. Basically, European power starts to reshape the entire planet. Okay, so let's bring this all home and talk about the legacy. How does all this history still echo in our world today?
And this table, I think, just shows the layers of history perfectly. Look at these city names in Spain today: Córdoba, Seville, Malaga. Their names still echo the original Roman names from 2,000 years ago. So you've got this Roman layer, then this incredible Islamic layer for centuries, and now they're major Spanish cities. It's a reminder that history isn't about erasure. It's about building one layer on top of another. So in the end, the story of this sea, which was both a barrier and a bridge, is a powerful reminder that history is never, ever a simple story of us versus them. It's always this messy, complicated mix of conflict and cooperation, of division and connection. And that really leaves you wondering, doesn't it, how much of the world we live in today is built on these kinds of exchanges from the past?